Hi guys, and welcome back to another championship prediction video. We're moving on to round 13, but quick recap on round 12. I got two scores correct, and they were Forest beating Blackpool 2-1 and Preston and Derby drawing 0-0. Let's see what I've predicted. And starting off with Bristol City versus Nottingham Forest. Now Bristol City so far this season, they've been really poor at home. Nottingham Forest, they've actually been really good away, and that's despite their obvious awful start where they weren't picking up any points at all. They're still really high in the away table, so they're in good form away. They just beat Blackpool 2-1, and Blackpool were in good form, and they've won 3 away games in a row. So I think they're going to win pretty comfortably here. I'm going Forest to win 2-0. Derby versus Luton next, and I really struggle to predict Derby games. The only thing you can really guarantee is that they're low scoring. It tends to be 1-0 either way, a 0-0, a 1-1. They're the only scores to really choose from, and as I don't think Luton can put enough past Derby in this game, as Derby defensively have been pretty decent this season, I think it is out of them 4 scores. Luton, they were good. They beat Millwall 2-0. But Derby have drawn their last 2 games 0-0. And it just makes me want to go for another draw. So for this, I'm going 1-1. On to QPR versus Blackburn now. And QPR, they will be so disappointed. They lost 4-1 to rivals Fulham. And yeah, they're not going to be happy with that. However, I do think they seem to have an ability to bounce back quite quickly. So hopefully for them, they can do that. Blackburn, they haven't won in 3. They were 2-0 up against Coventry, ended 2-2. And I'm not sure about Blackburn. They have the attacking quality. They've got Ben Brereton. Sam Gallagher, he managed to score as well on the weekend. So I feel like in attack, they've got enough, but they just seem to concede too many goals. For this, I think QPR will bounce back, and I'm going to go QPR to win 2-1. Sheffield United versus Millwall now, and Sheffield United, they've been a bit patchy, the sort of win-lose. They won their last game 2-1 against a good Stoke side, so that was a good result for them. Millwall, they lost 2-0 to Luton. And although Millwall draw a lot, I just think Sheffield United have a bit too much here. I'm going Sheffield United to win 2-1. Onto a game I'm really looking forward to. It's Stoke versus Bournemouth. This is a very big game and it could go either way. And this is why. Stoke at home are very, very good. They've played 6, won 5, drew 1. So they're unbeaten at home and they just tend to be quite dominant on their own patch. Bournemouth, they're very good wherever they are. They're obviously unbeaten, the only unbeaten team in the league. But West Brom were unbeaten and then they played Stoke and Stoke beat them 1-0. So this has the ingredients to be a very good game. Could go either way. Another stat, Bournemouth, away, they've only conceded 1 goal in 6. So it's going to take some very good attacking talent from Stoke to break this Bournemouth team down. But I think they can do it. I think it's going to be very tight and it's too tough to call. So I'm going straight down the middle, 1-1. Fulham versus Cardiff next, and Fulham, they won 4-1 against rivals QPR, which they will be very happy about. The game before that, they lost 4-1 to Coventry, so a bit weird to have 2 4-1s in a row, 1 win, 1 loss, but they'll be happy that they won their last game and hoping it can continue here, and I'm sure it will. Cardiff, they lost 3-0 to Swansea, they didn't play well, and that now means they've scored 1 goal in their last 6 matches and they've lost all 6 of them. I can't see Cardiff getting anything here. They probably won't score again, and they just can't defend. It's not even like they lose 1-0. They just tend to concede quite a few. So I'm going to go Fulham to win 3-0. On to Huddersfield versus Blues next. And could this be a turning point for Blues? I think it could. I know I normally predict Blues to win, but I want to give you the reasons why first. Huddersfield, they're unbeaten in 3. They beat Hull 2-0, so they're in decent form. Blues obviously aren't in very good form. We've lost 5 of our last 6. We haven't scored in 5, so we are really struggling. However, the main reason I think we're going to get something here is the fact that after that terrible 3-0 loss to Nottingham Forest, even though they were in good form, so it fair enough, but Boya, he dropped some players. He dropped Harley Dean, and a lot of Blues fans have been calling for that for a while. He dropped Ryan Woods. I've liked Ryan Woods so far, but he obviously thought something needed to change. He took out Woods. He took out Deeney, who, fair enough, hasn't really been a main starter. He's probably still not match fit. He took out Bella as well. And he brought in some players who have been on the sidelines a bit, brought them back in. And we played pretty well in that match. I'm not going to say we played brilliantly or dominated the game, because we didn't. But we were playing West Brom, second in the table, and they didn't look that much different from us. We both played similar styles of football. They won it 1-0, but it was just down to a great low-driven, long-range strike. And if that's all it took to separate the teams, then I'm pretty happy with that. We didn't get humiliated. We put in a good account of ourselves, and we weren't expected to get anything anyway. In the game, before that goal, they'd had 1 shot on target. And again, it was outside the box. So we defended our box very well when it was level and didn't really let them into it. That is a very good reason for why I think we're going to get something out of it, because we changed players around, we kept the formation, and everyone was well drilled in what they were doing and sort of didn't let anyone get close to the goal so that they had to shoot from outside the box. And I have to say, we did create more chances and probably better chances than West Brom up to their goal. So, again, if we could take our chances, that game could have been a different story. We lost it 1-0, but I took quite a few positives from it. So, I'm going to go, again, as I always do, but I think this is a bit more realistic. Blues to win, 1-0. On to the battle between the 2 newly promoted sides that are struggling. It's Hull versus Peterborough. Now, Hull, they haven't been great at home so far this season. They haven't been great away, to be fair. They have been struggling. And they lost their last game 2-0 to Huddersfield. However, they're playing Peterborough, who are the worst away team in the league so far. They've lost all 6 games and they've got minus 15 goal difference. So that would suggest that Hull will probably win this one. However, as I said, Hull haven't been great at home. So I think both defences might struggle, both attacks will struggle, but I don't think it'll be a 0-0. I think they'll score. So I'm going to go for a draw and for a 1-1. On to Middlesbrough v Barnsley next. And Middlesbrough's last 3 games have all ended 2-0. 2 of them they've won. So that's positive for them. And it looks like they might be moving in the right direction finally now. Barnsley, on the other hand, they're definitely not moving in the right direction, as they've lost their 4th game in a row and they haven't won in 10. So they are really struggling to get anything, and I wouldn't be surprised if Marcus Schott was gone sooner rather than later. I can't see Middlesbrough having too much of an issue here, and I'm going to go same scoreline again. Middlesbrough to win 2-0. On to Preston versus Coventry now, and Preston, they haven't won in 7. However, they've drawn 6 of them, so at least they're not losing games. Coventry, they're 4th in the table, but their away form isn't very good. They've only won 1 of their 6 away games this season, so they are struggling on the road, even though they've got that perfect 6 wins at home. For this, I think that's going to change, because I don't know why, I don't fancy Preston to do much. I think realistically, this will probably end a draw, but I don't know, something's just telling me that Coventry are going to nick it. So I'm going to go Coventry to win 2-1. Onto a game that I think could be quite interesting. Swansea versus West Brom. Now, Swansea, they've been struggling to score, struggling to win games, to be honest. But they did beat Cardiff 3-0, and they looked good. I know Cardiff are in very bad form, but form normally goes out the window in a derby, and Swansea, they played very well. West Brom, they obviously beat Blues 1-0 in their last game, but they didn't provide too much of an attacking threat, and they weren't what I expected them to be. So I think that makes this a very interesting game, and I think if Swansea can stop West Brom getting into the box like Blues did, they'll have a chance, because they've just put 3 past Cardiff, so they will be a bit higher on confidence than Blues were. That makes me think Swansea are going to get something out of this. So I'm going for a 1-1 draw. And finally, on to Reading versus Blackpool. Now Reading, they've won 5 of their last 6 games, and their last 4 have ended 1-0, and they've won 3 of those. So they seem to be keeping scores low. They're managing to keep clean sheets in obviously 3 of those games, and they're just nicking it by the odd goal, which is very different from what we saw at the start of the season from Reading, where they were very erratic, games were full of goals, and you just didn't know what to expect. I feel like there's a bit more of a pattern forming now, and they're getting a lot better. Blackpool, on the other hand, they're in good form, and they put in a good account of themselves. They did lose 2-1 to Forest, but as I say, it's a rejuvenated Forest side, so they put in a good account of themselves, and they are doing a lot better than people expected back in the Championship. So fair play to them, and I hope it continues. For this, Blackpool, they've scored in their last 5 games, which makes me think they're going to score here. And with Reading only scoring 1 goal recently in 3 of their last 4, it makes me think that this is going to be a goal either way and a 1-1 draw. So, those are my predictions for this week's midweek Championship fixtures. Hopefully, we can get some scores right midweek, because I tend to be pretty poor midweek. Got 2 right at the weekend. I'd like to carry that on here, but we'll have to wait and see. Let me know in the comments what you agree with, what you disagree with, and put your predictions down in the comments. Please like the video, subscribe, and hit the notification bell for more Championship content. I hope you enjoy these midweek fixtures, and up the Blues.